Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. Today we are going to take another chapter, that is air and noise pollution of class 12 previous subject. Before we will explain the different aspects of air and noise pollution, we must know what is pollution and what are pollutants. So in today's video we will try to explain what is meant by the pollution and what are the different what are the pollutants and different and their different categories. So here first we will see what is pollution or what is meant by the pollution. In scientific language, pollution means contamination of the environment, माहौल का आलूदा होना. And this pollution, it can be defined as any undesirable change in physical, chemical or biological aspects of the environment which can harmfully affect the human life, the life of other organisms and the cultural assets. And depending upon the causes, these pollutions are broadly of two types: natural pollutions and the man-made pollutions or anthropogenic pollutions. Natural pollutions are those pollutions which are caused due to some natural phenomena like spores, pollen grains, volcanic eruptions, landslides, soil erosions, forest fires, marshy gases or natural gases. And on the other hand, the anthropogenic pollutions are those pollutions which are caused due to the human activities like automobiles, industries and factories, fertilizers, pesticides, smoking, and apart from that, burning of the fossil fuels. Here the pollution is caused due to the human activities or by the man-made activities. Now these the natural pollution, it accounts for about it accounts about 99.9% of the total pollution. On the other hand, only some 0.05% is caused due to the human activities. But still, the anthropogenic pollution, it's more dangerous or it has more harmful effects as compared to the natural pollutions. This is due to the fact that the anthropogenic pollutions, they are confined to particular regions or in the particular areas. For example, in the estate zones or in the industrial belt, वही एरिया यहाँ, क्योंकि इसमें जो कंसंट्रेशन होती है, जो एरिया जहाँ पे ये पोल्यूट हो रहा है, इसका मतलब एरिया जो होता है मतलब दैट इज वेरी लेस. दिस व्हाई द इफेक्ट here observed is more. And this is about what is the natural pollution and what are the anthropogenic what is the anthropogenic pollution. Now, depending upon the effect, these anthropogenic pollutions can further be of various types, like personal. Here only the person is affected, which actually causes the pollution. For example, cigarette smoking. Here only that person will be affected who actually does or who actually smoke. वो स्मोकिंग से वही पर्सन इफेक्ट होगा जो ये स्मोकिंग प्रोसेस परफॉर्म करता होगा. इसी तरह anthropogenic pollution can be occupational. Here only those persons are affected which are performing a specific type of the occupation or specific type of the job, like flour mill dust. वहाँ पे वही उस डस्ट से वही पर्सन इफेक्ट हो जाएंगे जो वहाँ पे काम करते होंगे उस फैक्ट्री में. इसी तरह some anthropogenic pollution, it can also be community based. Here the whole community is involved. For example, in case of a thermal power plant, where this thermal power plant is located, the whole community around it gets affected. This is how we can actually categorize, or how we can say that how we can actually see the different categories of this anthropogenic pollution. So now this is regarding the what is pollution, what are its types, and what are the subtypes of the anthropogenic pollution. Now we will see what are the pollutants. Pollutant किसको कहेंगे? Pollutant is a substance like fly ash, chemical like ozone, oxides of nitrogen, like a factor, heat, radiations, noise, which has the potentiality to harmfully affect the human beings, other desirable living species, and cultural assets. So we can define the pollutant. A pollutant is a substance, chemical, factor which has the potentiality to harmfully affect the human life, the life of other desirable species, and the cultural assets. Commonly, the pollutants, they are the waste products, or they are the toxins or the poisonous substances. But sometimes the resources at the wrong place can also take the shape of a pollutant. For example, in case of the fertilizers are usually utilized to increase the fertility of the soil. But sometimes what happened, these fertilizers, they are actually carried out, or they are carried to the water bodies through surface runoff here, and thereby affecting the aquatic life in these water bodies. तो यहाँ पे फर्टिलाइजर्स हम एक्चुअली इस्तेमाल करते थे सॉइल की फर्टिलिटी को इंक्रीज करने के लिए, लेकिन जब ड्यू टू द रेन्स इसकी जो मतलब रेन इसको वॉश करते हैं और इसको ले जाते हैं इन द वाटर बॉडीज, वहां पे ये एक्वेटिक लाइफ को डिस्टर्ब करते हैं, वहां पे एक्ट एज करता है पोल्यूटेंट. सो दिस इज रिगार्डिंग व्हाट इज ए पोल्यूटेंट. पोल्यूटेंट क्या होता है. नाउ the classification of the pollutants. How we can classify the pollutants? Basically, different criteria have been taken into consideration for classifying the pollutants. Criteria like persistence, existence, and natural disposal is taken into account for classifying the different categories of the pollutants. Let us try to understand these classifications one by one. First, we will see the classification of pollutants on the basis of persistence. Persistence means stay of pollutants after their release. ये कैसे इन्वायरमेंट में कायम रहते हैं. देखो, द पोल्यूटेंट्स आफ्टर देयर रिलीज इनटू द इन्वायरमेंट actually can be classified into two types. यानी कि on the basis of persistence, how they persist into the environment after their release. These pollutants, they are of two types. One is known as the primary pollutant and secondary pollutant. Primary pollutants, what are now primary pollutants? Primary pollutants कौन से pollutants होते हैं? These are the pollutants which actually remain in the same form in which they are added to the environment. ये उसी शक्ल में रहते हैं environment में जिस फॉर्म में ये रिलीज होते हैं, जिस फॉर्म में ये ऐड होते हैं हमारे environment में. Like इसमें आप देखेंगे प्लास्टिक, DDT, you know it is an insecticide, डाइक्लोरो, डाइफिनाइल ट्राइक्लोरोइथेन. तो ये कौन से पोल्यूटेंट्स होते हैं? प्राइमरी पोल्यूटेंट्स. ठीक है. तो on the other hand, the second type of the pollutants based upon the persistence of these pollutants is the secondary pollutant. Secondary pollutant is that pollutant which is formed due to the interaction of the primary pollutants, which are formed due to the reaction between the primary pollutants. ये वो pollutants होते हैं जो primary pollutants से बनते हैं. For example, the hydrocarbons and the nitrogen oxides released from the vehicles, they react with one another. They react with each other in presence of the ultraviolet radiations and leading to the formation of peroxyethyl nitrate. Peroxyethyl nitrate. This यानी कि PAN, peroxyethyl nitrate. This is a secondary pollutant. इस तरह ozone, that is also the secondary pollutant. लेकिन there is observed a special type of the phenomenon in case of these secondary pollutants. देखो क्या होता है, it has been observed that the toxicity in case of the secondary pollutants is more as compared to that in the primary pollutants. यानी कि secondary pollutants are more toxic than the primary pollutants. This increase in toxicity in the secondary pollutants is called the synergism. इस प्रोसेस को हम synergism कहते हैं. A very important term कि synergism क्या होती है. Synergism, now we can simply say it is the process in which the secondary pollutants are more toxic as compared to the primary pollutants. Now, this was the first criteria, that is persistence. Now, on the basis of the existence you know कैसे ये कायम होते हैं environment में. Depending upon the existence, how they exist in the environment, the pollutants, they are of two types. One is known as the quantitative pollutants and the second is qualitative pollutants. Now, what are the quantitative pollutants? Basically, the quantitative pollutants, these are the normal components of the environment, and they become the pollutants when their concentration increases beyond its threshold limit or beyond its optimum limits. जो जिस लेवल में ये होना चाहिए, जब इस लेवल से इसकी कंसंट्रेशन एक्सीड हो जाएगी, at that time it is considered as a pollutant. For example, carbon dioxide is the best example. Carbon dioxide, you know, it is the normal component of our environment, it is the normal component of the atmosphere, and it is always present in 0.03% so far its concentration is or percentage is concerned. But today, if we will observe, its concentration has increased dramatically, and now it behaves as a potent greenhouse gas. So यहाँ पे जो कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड है, it is the normal component, but its concentration has increased. Now it behaves as a pollutant, so we can say it is now the quantitative pollutant. And on the other hand, the qualitative pollutants. What are the qualitative pollutants? Qualitative pollutants, basically these are not the normal components of the nature, but these are added by the human beings, or they get added due to the human activities. तो इनको हम कहते हैं qualitative pollutants. For example, pesticides. इस तरह हम देखते हैं insecticides, fertilizers. They can be categorized in this type. For example, fertilizers. Pesticides, etc. Now, another criteria for classifying these pollutants is the natural disposal. ये कैसे डिस्पोज होते हैं नेचुरली, यानी कि upon those grounds, that is depending upon the natural disposal, the pollutants can be of two types: biodegradable pollutants and non-biodegradable pollutants. Biodegradable pollutants are those pollutants which get disposed of by natural processes. For example, sewage, garbage, heat. ठीक है ना? तो इनको हम कहेंगे यहाँ पे कि जो ये सपोज बायोडिग्रेडेबल garbage and sewage, they are decomposed. They get decomposed or they get disposed of due to the microbial activity. That means they get disposed of naturally by the microbial activity by causing their decomposition. मतलब इसमें हम लिखेंगे sewage, इसी तरह garbage, इसी तरह heat is also the biodegradable because it is disposed of by the radiations. तो इसी तरह non biodegradable जो होते हैं, these are those pollutants which do not get decomposed or which do not get disposed of by natural processes, or even if they may get disposed of, their decomposition or their degradation, that is very slow. For example, plastic, DDT. These are the 10 examples which we will see under the non-biodegradable pollutants. लेकिन यहाँ पे भी हम एक इंटरेस्टिंग फिनोमेना देखते हैं कि जब मतलब ये जो नॉन बायोडिग्रेडेबल पोल्यूटेंट्स होते हैं, they gets biologically accumulated or they gets biologically magnified across the food chain. यानी कि जो different trophic levels होते हैं food chain के अंदर, from lower trophic level to the upper trophic level, its concentration, its amount that gets magnified, that gets increased, which is called the biomagnification. So they show the process of biomagnification because their concentration, it is repeatedly getting increased across the food chain. So this is regarding the non-biodegradable pollutants. So here we actually observe that there are the three criteria upon which we can classify the pollutants. One is persistence, existence, and the natural disposal. Upon the persistence pollutants are the two types. Pollutants are of two types: primary pollutants and secondary pollutants. Upon the existence, the pollutants can be quantitative pollutants and qualitative pollutants, and on the basis of the natural disposal, pollutants can be biodegradable and the non-biodegradable. Now, these pollution sources, on the basis of the pollutants, pollution, and on the basis of the pollutants which are added to the environment, the pollution sources can be of following types. One type is point sources. Here the specific points are releasing the pollutants into the environment. For example, the chimney of industry, this can be considered as the specific resource. इसी तरह लाइन और मोबाइल सोर्सेज, these are those actually sources where the pollutants are added to the environment from a narrow belt. For example, the automobiles which are producing the pollutants across the while running on the road. ठीक है, तो इसको हम लाइन और मोबाइल सोर्सेज कहेंगे. इसी तरह एरिया सोर्सेज, एरिया सोर्सेज में वो पोल्यूटेंट्स रिलीज होते हैं जो कि किसी एरिया, सपोज थर्मल पावर प्लांट, ये किसी एरिया में लोकेटेड होता है. वहां क्या होता है कि वहां जो ये पूरा थर्मल प्लांट है वहां से ये पोल्यूटेंट्स रिलीज होते हैं और उस पूरे एरिया से वहां से पोल्यूटेंट्स रिलीज होते हैं. तो इसको हम कहेंगे एरिया सोर्सेज. इस तरह कुछ सोर्सेज जिनको हम डिफ्यूज सोर्सेज कहते हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल पेस्टिसाइड्स और इंसेक्टिसाइड्स विच आर स्प्रेड, दे गेट डिफ्यूज्ड, यानी कि वो एक ही जगह नहीं रहते हैं, वो डिफ्यूज होते हैं. ठीक है, तो दिस इज रिगार्डिंग द डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ पोल्यूशन सोर्सेज और द सोर्सेज ऑफ द पोल्यूशन डिपेंडिंग on their depending upon the release of the pollutants. Now, so finally we can say these pollutants, they can be of the following types depending the factor or the component of the environment which gets polluted. The pollutions are of following types. For example, atmospheric pollution or pollution of air, hydrospheric pollution or pollution of water. इसी तरह lithospheric pollution or pollution of land, radioactive pollution, and there is noise pollution or sound pollution. So inshallah in the next topic we will talk about or we will try to learn about the air and noise pollution, that is atmospheric pollution and the noise or sound pollution. Till then, thank you.